Hey, Miss Education listeners, Sabrina here. The Bell's high school reporters have teamed up with Chalkbeat New York's veteran education journalists to bring you timely stories about New York City schools told by students living these experiences every day. The podcast is called PS Weekly. We're excited to share PS Weekly in the Miss Education feed. We hope you enjoy hearing directly from student reporters covering the issues that matter most in their schools and communities. PS Weekly airs each week in the spring and will be shared here in the Miss Education feed.
Hey PS Weekly listeners, we're celebrating the end of the school year with a special live recording of the PS Weekly podcast. It's Thursday, June 11th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Brooklyn Public Library Central Branch. This event will be co-hosted by Chalkbeat and the Bell, and you'll hear from student reporters like me about the issues we covered this season on PS Weekly. From competitive admissions to school mergers, curriculum debates, and so much more, we'll share fresh student perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Young people aren't the future, they're the present. Listen to New York City teens take the mic. The RSVP link is in the show notes, and we hope to see you there. It's 5 a.m., and you're waiting in the street. It's cold, it's dark, and you're growing impatient. Impatient because the yellow school bus just isn't coming. Maybe the bus will come in 45 minutes or an hour or two, but there's no way to know. There's a number to call, but you know it will ring forever. This is PS Weekly, the sound of the New York City school system. I'm Noa Salas Adam, a junior at Stuyvesant High School.
And I'm Katelyn Melville, a recent alum of the Brooklyn Institute for Liberal Arts and finishing up my first year at City College. But back to you, Noah. Waiting for a school bus at 5 a.m.?
Though not always this early, thousands of New York City public school students rely on school buses to get to class each day. 145,000 to be exact. And these buses are unreliable. That means they don't show up on time, they take inconvenient routes, and sometimes they don't even come at all. In just the first weeks of the 2025 to 2026 school year, there were 4,476 no-shows and 8,068 reported bus delays and breakdowns.
I guess I didn't realize just how many students in the city take school buses. I'd always assumed the majority just took public transportation, but now it's really worrying that kids are relying on buses that are so unpredictable.
And in most cases, they actually don't have many options. According to Chalkbeat, 43% of students who take the bus have a disability, and many of these students have individualized education programs, or IEPs, that are meant to guarantee them busing to get to schools that meet their needs.
This must be a major headache for a lot of families.
Exactly, and parents lose work because of their children's busing problems. I also learned that students who are eligible for busing don't get OMNY cards, which raised equity concerns for me. The same students who might be eligible for busing in their younger years may be ready to travel independently later on, and so having an OMNY card opens up the chance to get to a job or to participate in after-school programs.
Yeah, and those $3 fares really add up. This makes me want to hear a perspective from a student who had to go through it.
Me too. So I spoke to Lucas Healy, a senior in high school with autism, and his mom, Paulette Haw Healy. Lucas is a student attending the High School of Telecommunication, Arts, and Technology in a District 75 program.
Where is District 75?
District 75 isn't a geographical district like District 2, where I go to school. Instead, it has programs in schools all over the city for students who need highly specialized instruction. And because D75 isn't a physical district, students with disabilities often have to go to school outside of their neighborhoods to get their needs met. This is where the school buses come in.
So there's a whole school district to accommodate students with disabilities, and there are still busing issues going on in these schools? I mean, forgive me if I sound shocked, but how do you expect to give a student specialized instruction if you can't even get them there in the first place?
Exactly, and missing days of this instruction adds up, and it really impacts these students' education. But that's enough from us. Lucas and Paulette had to live it. Lucas, we'll start with you. Could you just say your name, how old you are, and what school you go to?
Yeah, well, I'm Lucas Healy, and I'm a D75 student. I went to High School of Telecommunications, but this year I'm graduating to Kingsborough Community College.
Congratulations. And Paulette, could you share your name, your occupation, anything relating to your advocacy or anything else that you'd like to share?
Sure. My name is Paulette Ha-Healy. I'm a disability advocate. I'm actually a coordinator for the Borough of Brooklyn for the Civic Engagement Commission. So I'm a civil servant. But my lifelong love and purpose in life is to advocate for the disability community. I'm a woman with a disability myself, and I'm raising 2 children in the public school system who have learning disabilities as well. And that's what brought me here to you.
What inspired your advocacy in a larger sense?
Well, when I became a mother for the first time, and I didn't really have any peers or siblings to tell me like what raising a child would be like. And I was so extremely happy when Lucas came into my life that I wasn't aware there was anything different about him. And when we went for his pediatric milestone appointments, our pediatrician told us he wasn't hitting certain milestones and suggested we have him assessed. And that's when we discovered that he was on the autistic spectrum. And knowing that he was different and realizing that the public school system is not really geared for children who are neurodiverse as he is, that I was going to have quite the fight in front of me.
So I know from speaking to both of you earlier that, Lucas, you took a bus to your early intervention program when you were around, is it 3?
That's correct.
Yeah. So, Paulette, what's an early intervention program?
So an early intervention program is a program that is available for people with disabilities as early as birth to help provide supportive services, depending on what their challenges happen to be. So we were eligible for the services. Unfortunately, where we were living at the time, which was Windsor Terrace in Brooklyn, there was no spots available in the early intervention programs within our neighborhood. So we were able to get accepted into a program in Bushwick. And that entailed a 3-hour bus ride back and forth every day. So at 3 years old, Lucas was up at 5 in the morning, was on a bus at 5:15 every morning, and then arrived at his early intervention program in Bushwick at 8 a.m. And then would leave the program at 3 p.m. and arrive home at 6 p.m. at the end of the day, which is an incredibly long day for a 3-year-old.
I did mention to you that when I was still waiting for the bus to arrive, it never came.
Yeah, there were unfortunately some times where the bus didn't show up, and we would be sitting outside in the dark at 5 a.m. waiting for the bus to show up, and there was no communication. We would try calling the bus company, but unfortunately no one would pick up, and we would call the school, and of course there's nobody there. And it really left very little recourse for families who were dependent on this particular service. The first year was rough. It was a major adjustment. Lucas presented with a lot of behavioral challenges, rightfully so, considering he was sleep deprived. And a child at that age is supposed to have more nap times and play times and things of that nature. And that just wasn't afforded to him because he spent 6 hours every day, 5 days a week, just traveling to this program.
Did things get better after early intervention?
Elementary school was pretty much like the most chaotic and inconsistent time when it came to school busing for Lucas. During the kindergarten year when he started, all of the bus drivers actually went on strike because of the contract negotiations that were happening with the mayor. And because of that strike, we were not able to get Lucas to school for almost 3 months until the strike was over. And when you're in kindergarten and you're learning like fundamental skills in terms of like language and behavior and comprehension, 3 months is a lifetime for a kindergartner. And again, we weren't able to really make up those services. And then when there wasn't a strike, we would still experience a lot of inconsistent disruptions in service. And when he was in 3rd grade, he missed 56 days of school due to the bus not showing up. There was one time the bus showed up at noon at our house to pick him up. And at that point, I had already taken a cab to get him to school.
And not everyone has access to other options.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be able to drive to school or pay for a car if the bus doesn't come, and also to be able to advocate for your child in these situations. The unpredictability of Lucas's bus caused Paulette to quit her job.
There was so much disruption, and I lost a lot of days of work, and my job was just like, we need someone who's dependable. And as hardworking as I was, I could not promise them that that school bus was going to show up the next day. And this is a citywide travesty because there's thousands of families that are affected when their school bus doesn't arrive, and tons of families who end up losing employment because of disruptions and putting out thousands of dollars for cab fares and bus fares and, alternate transportation options when the DOE is paying millions of dollars to these bus contractors to provide us this service. And Lucas, thankfully, was able to bounce back from all of those absences. And traditionally, you have 20 absences, you're already like promotion in doubt. And then Lucas himself as a child, like he loved school. He made friends there. So like on those days when the bus didn't show up, he was angry.
Yeah,
and
I felt kind of like left out because of stupid busing.
Yeah, Lucas, could you tell me about that feeling of being left out when your friends are at school, but you couldn't be there because of the unreliable busing?
Well, let's just say I didn't like it when I was left out. And because of that, I felt, well, lonely because I wasn't there. And it's definitely not fair. It's literally like not fair to be left out. I mean, what the heck?
it still hurts you now.
Mhm.
And you're 18. It was 10 years ago. So it's like these are the kind of scars that nobody sees on the outside. And sometimes I don't even realize like how raw it still is for him, until I hear the anger in his voice, just like I did just now. And hearing him say I felt lonely, like no mom ever wants to hear that, from their kid, and not being able to fix it. So
Yeah, that's what's going on with my life with busing problems and stuff. I just really wish I was there back then.
yeah, and I know that also makes you more empathetic to your friends too. Like when you come home and you tell me that one of your other friends wasn't able to get to school because the bus didn't show up. Like I know that you know how that feels, and you worry about them, and you worry about how they're feeling. And yeah, it hurts no matter how old you are, whether you're in third grade, in middle school, in high school. It just sucks not being able to be part of, everything that's going on, especially this being your last year of school too.
Yeah. Well, I won't let that repeat the same way when I graduated, like, at community college. I just won't repeat the same way from, like, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think you've got more skills now to cope than you did back then.
Yeah.
Lucas, you mentioned that you now travel independently. I was wondering when that decision was made and what it's like now, your commute.
I've learned how to travel independently, well, the day the pandemic, passed out. My mom taught me how to, like, travel independently and how long will it take to get there.
Yeah, I will say, like, in addition to that, the pandemic really was like a game changer for a lot of us, for all different kinds of reasons. But as the schools were pivoting to remote learning and District 75 was trying to figure out how to support students that were neurodiverse with multiple cognitive challenges with remote learning, Lucas was one of the few that thrived during COVID. He jumped up 3 reading levels utilizing the assistive technology that was available in order to comprehend the content that they were giving him. But he was definitely like one of the students that, given the right tools, in that remote environment, he jumped forward, he progressed. And thankfully, we were able to get him into a program that was relatively close to the house. It still requires some public transportation, but he felt confident. He didn't need the school bus anymore. So once some of the restrictions during COVID were lifted and we were able to use the trains and the buses more frequently, we spent the entire summer travel training. And D75 actually has a incredible travel training program that they utilize for their students. However, during the pandemic, there was a lot of staffing turnover, and the demand for that program was incredibly immense. So there was a ton of students that were waitlisted for the travel training program. And again, time waits for no one. So we took it upon ourselves to train Lucas, and not just about like, how to get on the train, what stop to get off, but also like, what happens if a train station is closed? What happens if a bus route gets rerouted? What happens if you get stranded because of climate challenges and things of that nature? What tools do you use in order to get home? If you're lost, you need to have a Lucas in your life. He's helped other students, like when he sees them struggling, trying to like figure out where they're going, he's always trying to lend a hand. So I think that it was a huge, huge turning point when it came to Lucas just being able to immerse himself into like his school environment. He had the freedom of being able to get home by himself if he wanted to go to an after-school program or audition for the school play or participate in a talent show or take advantage of the tutoring services that were available at the school. He wouldn't have been able to do that if he was still strapped to a bus.
I wanted to ask about like the OMNY cards, because I know that when you're taking a school bus, you don't have access to an OMNY card, right? So you have to like rush, or you're not able to participate in after school activities.
I mean, the whole reason a lot of travel advocates and students advocated at the DOE to provide OMNY cards to all high school students was because our high school students have other obligations outside of school. They have jobs, they have after school programming. Some are going to night school, to make up for credits that they can't do because their attendance just isn't where it should be. And they're students who are overaged and undercredited who really need to be able to have some flexibility with their education. It just expands the world for them. It allows them to participate in after-school programming. It allows them more freedom to be able to travel more independently. And for some families, it's, transportation's a hardship. Paying that $3 for that train ride, it taps into whatever money they're bringing home for food and rent. And if there's some way that we can lighten that load because the DOE happens to have a cadre of these OMNY cards, we should extend it.
Did you feel also left behind academically, or how do you think that it impacted your school?
It made me feel like a failure, to be honest. Most of the times when I try to catch up on some stuff, but couldn't even figure out what the questions make sense, that made me feel like a failure. And it's just not fair for me. I just wish I wasn't feeling like that way, but I still am. Every time.
Yeah, it's a testament to like how important it is to be present when you're at school, because especially like when you get into like the higher education, middle school and high school, and there's so much emphasis on testing and assessments, you miss one day and that you miss like an entire unit. And then you're just playing catch up the whole time.
I want to talk a bit about the Office of Pupil Transportation and Brad Lander's audit from last year. I'm going to read this to you. He found that in the 2023 to 2024 school year alone, OPT received more than 16,000 complaints related to special education transportation, over 15,000 calls about late pickups or late arrivals, more than 14,000 no-show pickup complaints, and more than 5,000 reports of disconnected calls. You mentioned that you've made calls, but could you tell me a bit more about that experience, and then we can get to your thoughts on OPT in general?
Sure. I've had experiences prior to the $9.5 million investment that they put into OPT to build out their call center. And even then, there were 15,000 drop calls. Yeah, I would like to know what they spent their $9.5 million on, to be perfectly honest, because even when I talk to parents in schools now, they still can't get through to OPT. Or they get the runaround where it's like they finally get someone and they're like, oh, what's your school? And they reroute them back to the school. So that does not seem like a good use of funding to me at all. But prior to the $9.5 million investment into the call center, I would spend as long as 2 hours on hold trying to get through to a human being at OPT. I had someone on the bus who was like talking to somebody and was like, yeah, the bus didn't show up again. And I literally like opened up my phone and gave them the number to OPT. And I said, I will stay with you and see how long it takes for them to like pick up the phone with you. And this was literally like, 2 months ago? And no joke, the reader on her phone, she hung up after 45 minutes when no one was picking up the phone.
Wow.
Because I don't know, even where to look for this number. And I was like, well, save it. You're going to need it. I mean, if I had it my way, and I'm so grateful to have had the controller push through this audit before he termed out, because this was something that we were working on with the previous controller and we couldn't get it released. And we knew that we needed this kind of audit and to build this momentum in order to make some change to the existing pupil transportation program.
Absolutely. Just to wrap up, Lucas, I wanted to ask you if there's one thing that you could tell someone who doesn't understand how important this issue of fair busing is, what would you tell them?
So if someone doesn't understand why busing is important, it's important because
of timing.
because that kid can never get that time back, right?
Mm-hmm. Because that kid could never get that time back, and he could probably gain through a lot of challenges, like catching up with some work, making up with some friends, and trying to catch up on something you felt left out. And I don't want that for them. Not ever. I don't want them to go through the same way I had many years ago.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for coming and for talking with me today. I'm really excited for the episode and to share it with you both.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to really bring more awareness around this.
Chalkbeat reported on the city's recent promises to improve the bus system, including new routing software coming in September to bring shorter and more efficient routes. In response to Chalkbeat's questions about the changes, an education department spokesperson said, quote, "Over the years, we have made significant progress, and enhancing our students' transportation experience remains one of our top priorities," end quote. She added, quote, "New York City Public Schools continues to evaluate and improve our bus operations for families, ensuring our services remain reliable," end quote. In 3 years, contracts between the city and busing companies will be up. Either the same system of constant delays and lack of communication will continue,
Or we'll reach something better. I'm curious, what happens next?
well, Paulette did tell me about some possible solutions she and other advocates are exploring. She spoke about the expansion of the New York City School Bus Umbrella Services, or NICE Bus, a nonprofit that currently manages about 800 routes. It has also started working with electric buses, including working GPS systems on buses would also help hold companies accountable and give parents real-time updates on their kids' commutes. All of these solutions envision a system where the city has more control over bus routes and timing, so students with disabilities can get to their programs on time every day.
And every day really matters. Hearing Lucas talk about his own experiences really shows how impactful missing school because of busing delays is.
Lucas has grown up a lot since he was that little boy on the bus. He travels independently now. He loves to cook, and he's headed to community college in the fall. But you can hear in his voice that he's still really upset about how the system failed him so many years ago. He missed his friends and felt like a failure in school. He's angry that other kids will have to go through what he went through.
That feeling of being left out or forgotten is something so many people can relate to.
It also makes me think of how involved Paulette is. She's become an expert in busing and was able to really fight for Lucas and so many other students with disabilities across the city. But what about all the kids without that support? It's hard even under the best circumstances.
That's all for today on PS Weekly.
PS Weekly is a collaboration between the Bell and Chalkbeat, made possible by generous support from the Pinkerton Foundation. Producers for this episode were me, Noa Salas Adam,
And me, Katelyn Melville.
Our senior producer for the show is Maria Robin Somerville, and our technical director is Jake Loomis.
Our executive editors are Amy Zimmer and Taylor McGraw.
Additional production and reporting support was provided by Mira Gordon, Sabrina Duquesne, Zana Halili, and our friends at Chalkbeat.
Music is from APM, and the jingle you heard at the beginning of the episode was created by the one and only Erica Wong.